I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. The birth of a legend on February 17th, 1963, in the borough of Brooklyn, New York, a child was born who would one day change the world of sports forever. His name? Michael Jeffrey Jordan. But in those early moments, no one could have guessed what destiny had in store for him. He was the fourth of 5 children born to James and Dolores Jordan, a hard-working couple trying to make a life for their growing family in a challenging world. James Jordan worked in the military and later as a mechanic, a man of discipline and quiet strength. Dolores, a banker and mother with a firm but loving hand, instilled in her children a deep sense of responsibility, faith, and work ethic. The Jordans weren't wealthy, far from it. But what they lacked in money, they made up for in love, structure, and values that would become the cornerstone of Michael's identity. Soon after Michael's birth, the family moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. It was in this southern town, sunlit, simple, and still scarred by the legacy of segregation, that Michael grew up. Life there was quieter than Brooklyn, but it came with its own set of lessons. Michael spent much of his childhood outdoors, riding bikes, playing baseball, and wrestling with his older brother, Larry, who would become one of his fiercest early competitors. Michael looked up to Larry, and the two often engaged in backyard battles. Basketball, baseball, anything competitive. These were no ordinary games. They were intense, fueled by pride and brotherly rivalry. And more often than not, Larry won. For young Michael, losing wasn't just frustrating, it was heartbreaking. But in hindsight, those losses taught him something valuable. Losing made him hungry. Losing made him work harder. School was another arena where Michael's energy shined, though not always in the ways teachers appreciated. He was smart, but sometimes distracted. He was confident, but could be impulsive. Still, his drive was evident even in childhood. If he wanted something, he chased it with everything he had. That attitude would follow him into his teenage years, where he faced one of his most well-known challenges. By the time Michael reached Laney High School, he was already showing signs of athletic promise. He played baseball and football and had started to take a strong interest in basketball. But during his sophomore year, something happened that would become part of basketball folklore. Michael Jordan was cut from the varsity basketball team. At 5'10", he was considered too short, too raw, not good enough. It crushed him. Michael went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. But what happened next is what separates legends from the rest. Instead of giving up, he made a decision. He would never be cut again. He would outwork everyone. Every morning before school, while others slept, Michael was in the gym shooting free throws, sprinting, training in silence. The pain of rejection turned into the fuel of greatness. That summer he grew 4 inches, and by his junior year he was back on the team, this time as a star. Scouts started to notice, colleges began circling, his name started to spread beyond Wilmington. The once overlooked kid was now becoming a phenomenon. But more than talent, it was his obsessive work ethic that stood out. He practiced like his life depended on it. Every drill, every scrimmage, every game, he gave everything. And the fire inside him, that hunger to prove the world wrong, it never dimmed. By the time he graduated high school, he had earned a scholarship to one of the most prestigious basketball programs in the country, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Michael Jordan had taken his first major step toward greatness. But this was just the beginning. He had outgrown college basketball. He was ready for the next level. The world didn't know it yet, but a revolution was coming. Still, there were doubters. Questions swirled. Could he handle the physicality of the NBA? Was he big enough? Could a shooting guard really dominate the pros? Michael didn't answer, with words. He let his game do the talking. In the 1984 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls selected Michael Jordan with the 3rd overall pick. The Houston Rockets had chosen Hakeem Olajuwon first, and the Portland Trail Blazers took Sam Bowie second. Portland, famously, already had a guard. They needed a center. History, as we now know, would never let them forget that decision. As Jordan donned the red and black Bulls jersey for the first time, a new chapter was about to begin. The college kid who once cried after getting cut from his high school team was now preparing to conquer the biggest basketball stage in the world. But he wasn't just bringing his talent to Chicago. He was bringing his relentless will, his obsession with greatness, and the drive of a man who was still proving people wrong. The boy from Wilmington was now a man on a mission. Draft day and NBA beginnings, June 19, 1984. The NBA Draft. A moment that would go down in history, not just for who was picked, but for how it all unfolded. Michael Jordan sat quietly in the crowd, wearing a sharp suit, humble but confident. The air buzzed with energy as teams made their choices. First came Hakeem Olajuwon, scooped up by the Houston Rockets, a big man with undeniable talent. No surprise there. Next, the Portland Trail Blazers stepped up. With a strong backcourt already in place, they opted for center Sam Bowie, a pick that would later become infamous. Then, with the third pick, the Chicago Bulls called his name, Michael Jordan, University of North Carolina. Cheers, applause, but no one could have predicted what was about to happen. Chicago had just drafted a game changer, not just for their team, for the entire sport. At the time, the Bulls weren't a glamorous franchise. They were struggling. Poor attendance, a losing culture, and little to be excited about. But Michael Jordan brought something they hadn't had in years: hope. From the moment he arrived in Chicago, he carried himself with quiet intensity. No ego, no demands, just a fire that burned brighter than anyone had ever seen. His goal was clear: to win. And it didn't take long for people to realize this rookie was different. His first NBA game? October 26, 1984. The Bulls faced the Washington Bullets. Jordan finished with 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. Solid numbers. But what truly stood out was his presence. He moved differently. He flew through the air with a grace and aggression that had fans on their feet every time he touched the ball. Then came the breakout performances, 45 points against the Spurs, dazzling dunks over seasoned defenders. Clutch plays that didn't seem human. The league had never seen anything quite like him. A guard with the size, speed, and vertical leap of a forward. A scorer who defended just as fiercely. He wasn't just playing the game, he was redefining it. His impact was instant. Ticket sales soared. Merchandise flew off shelves. Home and away, arenas were packed just to watch him play. They came for the dunks, the crossovers, the swagger, but underneath all of it was a man with unmatched discipline. Jordan practiced like a man possessed. First to arrive, last to leave. Even teammates said he brought an intensity to practice that felt like playoff games. He wasn't interested in being good. He wanted to be the greatest. And every day, he worked like he still had something to prove. That year, he averaged 28.2 points per game, an astonishing stat for a rookie. He was named an NBA All-Star, voted in by fans despite resistance from some veterans. He won Rookie of the Year, silencing any remaining doubters. But more than stats, it was his effect on the culture of basketball that made waves. Michael Jordan was turning basketball into a global phenomenon. Off the court, brands started noticing him too. He had charisma, a clean image, and a style that connected with fans, young and old. By late 1984, something big was in the works, a groundbreaking endorsement deal with a shoe company that was willing to take a gamble. Nike. At the time, Nike wasn't the giant it is today. They were mostly known for running shoes, and their basketball line was struggling. But they saw something in Jordan, something electric, something revolutionary. Together, they would launch a brand that would change fashion, business, and pop culture forever. But that story, the birth of Air Jordan, deserves its own chapter. For now, as his rookie season came to a close, one thing was clear. Michael Jordan had arrived, and he wasn't just in the NBA. He was about to own it. Chasing greatness. Michael Jordan had taken the NBA by storm, but early success didn't translate to championships, not yet. The Chicago Bulls still lacked the depth and experience to make a deep playoff run. And Jordan? He was about to learn that talent alone wasn't enough. To wear the crown, he'd have to go through wars. In the mid to late 80s, the NBA was ruled by giants. Larry Bird's Boston Celtics, Magic Johnson's Lakers, and the gritty, bruising force known as the Detroit Pistons, a team that would become Jordan's fiercest rival. The Pistons weren't just good, they were relentless. Led by Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, and Dennis Rodman, they were known as the Bad Boys for a reason. They didn't just beat teams, they punished them. And they had one mission: stop Michael Jordan. They crafted a strategy specifically designed to break him: the Jordan rules, double teams, hard fouls, no easy buckets, force him left, knock him down, frustrate him, wear him out. Every time Jordan entered the paint, he was met with elbows, forearms, and bodies crashing into him. But Jordan didn't break. He evolved. After being eliminated by the Pistons 3 years in a row, something shifted. He wasn't just playing for points anymore, he was playing for respect, for glory, for legacy. In the summer of 1990, he committed to transforming his body: weight training, conditioning, mental toughness. He bulked up, added muscle, and returned with a renewed fury. Meanwhile, the Bulls organization was building around him. Phil Jackson stepped in as head coach, bringing a more Zen-like team-first philosophy. He introduced the triangle offense, a system designed not just to highlight Jordan, but to empower the entire roster. And that's when things changed. In the 1990-91 season, the Bulls looked different. Scottie Pippen had blossomed into an elite, two-way player. Horace Grant was a rebounding machine. The bench was deep, the chemistry locked in. And at the center of it all was Michael Jordan, more focused, more unselfish, and more determined than ever. When they faced the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals that year, it wasn't even close. The Bulls swept them in 4 games. The Bad Boys walked off the court without shaking hands. The passing of the torch was bitter, but undeniable. Then came the NBA Finals. The Bulls met Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers, a franchise built on glamour, experience, and 5 championship rings. Early on, the pressure was high. The Bulls lost Game 1. But Jordan responded with one of the most iconic moves in basketball history: the switch hand layup. Mid-air, with defenders flying toward him, he switched the ball from his right to left and laid it in. Effortless, graceful, surreal. It was a statement. I'm not just here to play. I'm here to reign. The Bulls took control of the series and never looked back. On June 12, 1991, the Chicago Bulls were NBA champions. And for Michael Jordan, it was everything. As the final buzzer sounded, Jordan clutched the ball, collapsed to the floor in the locker room, and cried, not just tears of joy, but release. Years of frustration, sacrifice, and pain had led to this moment. He had climbed the mountain, but unlike many, he had no interest in stepping back. The hunger only grew. Over the next 2 seasons, Jordan and the Bulls went on a tear. In 1992, they won the championship again, this time beating Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trail Blazers. In 1993, they made it a 3-peat, defeating Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns. By this point, Jordan wasn't just the best player in the game. He was untouchable. MVP awards, scoring titles, all-star selections, endorsement deals, and a growing legacy that now stretched around the globe. Then came Barcelona, 1992. The Dream Team. Jordan led a U.S. Olympic squad filled with Hall of Famers: Magic, Bird, Ewing, Malone, Stockton, Barkley, Pippen, the greatest team ever assembled. And they didn't just win gold, they dominated, introducing global audiences to the greatness of American basketball. Jordan, already a global icon, became a planetary phenomenon. Kids in every corner of the world wore his jersey, mimicked his moves, and dreamed of flying like Mike. But behind the glory, cracks were forming. Jordan was tired, physically and emotionally. The weight of fame, the media, the pressure, it was all consuming. And then, tragedy struck. In the summer of 1993, his father, James Jordan, was murdered during a robbery. It shattered him. The man who had been his biggest supporter, his guiding force, was gone. And with that loss, Michael Jordan walked away from basketball. At the peak of his career, the king of the court hung up his jersey and disappeared from the game. He wasn't done with greatness, just taking a detour. Air Jordan and Nike. The birth of a brand before the championships, before the MVPs, and even before he became a household name, Michael Jordan made a decision that would revolutionize sports marketing forever. It all started in 1984, shortly after he was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. Back then, Jordan wasn't interested in making a fashion statement. He just wanted to play ball. In fact, his original dream endorsement deal? Adidas. Growing up, Jordan loved their shoes. He thought they were cooler, sleeker. But Adidas, surprisingly, passed on the opportunity. They weren't ready to commit to a rookie guard. Converse, the top dog in basketball shoes at the time, had already stacked their roster with stars like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Jordan would have been just another name on their list. Then came Nike, a rising company, better known for running shoes than basketball dominance. But Nike saw something in Michael, not just potential, star power, style, charisma, swagger. They didn't want him to just endorse a shoe. They wanted to build a brand around him. Nike's pitch was bold. They offered Jordan a 5-year deal worth $2.5 million, an unheard-of figure at the time for a rookie. But that wasn't all. They promised to create a signature shoe line, something only a few athletes had ever received. Still, Jordan wasn't convinced. It was his mother, Dolores Jordan, who told him, "You're going to go listen to them. You're going to give them a chance." He did, and history was made. Later that year, the world was introduced to the Air Jordan 1. They were unlike anything the NBA had ever seen. Bold black and red, high-top leather, with a design that screamed rebellion and flair. But the NBA banned them. Yes, the league literally fined Jordan $5,000 every time he wore them on court, citing uniform violations. Nike's response? They paid the fines, every single game, and they turned the controversy into marketing gold. On October 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them. The Air Jordan brand exploded. By the end of the first year, Nike expected to sell $3 million worth of Air Jordans. They sold $126 million, but this was just the beginning. Each year brought a new version of the shoe: Jordan 2, Jordan III, Jordan 4, and so on, and each release became a cultural event. Fans lined up for hours. Sneakerheads collected them. Rappers wore them. Kids hooped in them and dreamed of soaring like Mike. The shoes weren't just about performance. They were about identity. The genius behind the branding was a team effort. Nike's marketing director, Sonny Vaccaro, helped bring Jordan in. Tinker Hatfield, a visionary designer, crafted many of the most iconic Jordans, fusing sport, art, and fashion into each pair. Jordan's influence off the court grew alongside his shoe empire. He became a symbol of excellence, elegance, and edge. Commercials like the unforgettable "It's Gotta Be the Shoes" campaign, featuring filmmaker Spike Lee as Mars Blackman, turned MJ into a pop culture icon. He wasn't just selling sneakers, he was selling aspiration, and it worked. The Air Jordan line became the blueprint for athlete-driven branding. It opened doors for others, LeBron, Kobe, Kyrie, but none have matched the empire that Jordan built. The Jumpman logo, a silhouette of MJ mid-flight, became one of the most recognized symbols in the world, standing shoulder to shoulder with the swoosh, the apple, and the golden arches. Today, Jordan Brand is a multi-billion-dollar empire, expanding into apparel, collaborations with fashion designers, and exclusive drops that sell out in seconds. But at the core of it all is that moment in 1984, when a 21-year-old kid from North Carolina took a leap of faith and bet on himself, and he won. The beauty of the Air Jordan legacy isn't just in the shoes, it's in what they represent. Freedom, flight, fearlessness. To wear Jordans is to walk with confidence, to believe that just maybe you too can fly. Stepping away, baseball, loss, and legacy in the making. In the summer of 1993, Michael Jordan stood at the top of the basketball world, 3 consecutive NBA championships, 3 finals MVPs. He had accomplished everything a player could dream of, and then some. But beneath the surface, things were changing. The pressure was mounting. The constant spotlight, the never-ending interviews, the tabloid stories. It was all starting to wear on him. Jordan was no longer just an athlete. He had become a global brand, a walking headline, a symbol of perfection. And that kind of weight, it's exhausting. Then came the moment that changed everything. On July 23, 1993, James Jordan, Michael's father, was driving through North Carolina when he pulled over to rest. He was later murdered during a robbery, shot and dumped in a swamp. His body wasn't found for weeks. The news shattered Michael. His father had always been his biggest supporter, his best friend. They were inseparable. James had been in the locker room after every big win, by his side during commercials, and always in the stands with that proud, quiet smile. Losing him wasn't just personal. It was spiritual. In the weeks following, Jordan was a shell of himself. And then in October 1993, at just 30 years old, he did the unthinkable. Michael Jordan retired from basketball. The world was stunned. Why walk away now? Why in his prime? Jordan's answer was simple. I've lost the desire to play. I've lost something. I need to step away. But he didn't just step away. He stepped into an entirely different sport. In February 1994, Michael Jordan signed a minor league baseball contract with the Chicago White Sox, a team owned by Bulls owner Jerry Reinsdorf. He was fulfilling a lifelong dream, one he shared with his father, who had once envisioned Michael as a major league player. It was a tribute, a way to heal, a new mountain to climb. Critics mocked the move. The media called it a stunt. But Jordan wasn't playing for the cameras. He was grinding. He joined the Birmingham Barons, a Double-A affiliate of the White Sox. The buses were cramped. The fields were dusty. And the pitching, brutal. Jordan hadn't played organized baseball in over a decade. Still, he showed up every single day. Early, humble, and hungry. He struggled at the plate but showed flashes of potential. He stole bases. He made defensive plays. And slowly, he started to earn respect, not for his name, but for his work ethic. In his one full season, Jordan hit .202 with 3 home runs, 51 RBIs, and 30 stolen bases. Not Hall of Fame numbers, but for someone who hadn't played baseball since high school, pretty remarkable. Behind the scenes, Jordan's absence left a massive hole in the NBA. Attendance dipped, ratings slid, the league missed its brightest star, and so did the Bulls. They remained competitive without him, with Scottie Pippen stepping up as the leader. But there was always a sense that someone was missing. The fire, the killer instinct, the closer. Then, in early 1995, something changed. Jordan started showing up at Bulls practices, just to stay in shape, just to be around the game. But players could tell he still had it. The speed, the footwork, the hunger. It never left. The only question was, would he come back? On March 18, 1995, the world got its answer. 2 words, a fax, just 26 letters. I'm back. No press conference, no media tour, just a message. And that was enough. The very next day, Jordan stepped back onto the court wearing the number 45 instead of 23, his baseball number, and a fresh start. His return game against the Indiana Pacers. The rust was there, but so was the magic. He scored 19 points, and in just 5 games, he dropped 55 on the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, the double nickel game. The King had returned. The Bulls didn't win the title that year. They fell to the Orlando Magic in the playoffs, but the message was clear. Jordan was back, stronger, smarter, and now with a new reason to win, for himself, for his father, and for legacy. In stepping away, Jordan had done something few athletes ever do. He proved he was human. He grieved, he stumbled, he searched for meaning. And in coming back, he reminded the world what greatness looks like when it's forged in pain, the second three-peat, legacy cemented. When Michael Jordan returned to the NBA in March 1995, he was no longer the hungry kid chasing greatness. He was a man who had already conquered the world, walked away, and come back with unfinished business. The 1995 playoff loss to Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway's Orlando Magic was a reality check. Jordan was back, but he wasn't yet MJ. That summer, he trained harder than ever. No movies, no distractions, just grind. He called it the "I'm back, but I'm coming for blood" summer, and the Bulls were ready to reload. Enter Dennis Rodman. Yes, that Dennis Rodman. The colorful, unpredictable rebounding machine joined forces with Jordan and Scottie Pippen to form one of the most iconic trios in sports history. Under the cool, calculated leadership of Phil Jackson, the Bulls had everything: grit, defense, star power, and depth. The 1995-96 season wasn't just a comeback. It was a dominance tour. The Bulls steamrolled the league, finishing the regular season with a then-record 72-10. Jordan reclaimed the scoring title, the MVP, the All-Star MVP, and was named to the All-Defensive First Team. He was once again the best player on the planet, no debate. In the finals, the Bulls faced Gary Payton, Shawn Kemp, and the Seattle Supersonics. The series was physical and emotional, especially with Father's Day falling during the finals. And on that day, after winning his 4th championship, Jordan fell to the floor in the locker room clutching the game ball and sobbing. This one's for my dad. He was back, and he wasn't done. He 1996-97, another season, another title run. The Bulls went 69-13, just shy of their previous record, with Jordan still leading the charge. They returned to the finals to face the Utah Jazz, led by the iconic duo of Karl Malone and John Stockton, veterans hungry for their first ring. The series was tight. Every possession was a war. Then came Game 5 in Salt Lake City, forever etched in history as the flu game. Jordan was violently ill. Some say flu, others believe it was food poisoning from a suspicious pizza the night before. Whatever it was, MJ could barely stand. But he played, and not just played. He dominated. He scored 38 points, hit the go-ahead 3, and collapsed into Pippen's arms as the buzzer sounded. It was one of the most iconic images in sports history. The Bulls closed it out in Game 6. Jordan now had 5 rings. The 1997-98 season, the last dance by now, the Bulls dynasty was nearing its end. Behind the scenes, tensions brewed. Bulls GM Jerry Krause wanted to rebuild. Phil Jackson had been told this would be his final year, and Jordan made it clear, if Phil's not coaching, I'm not playing. The media dubbed it the last dance. Cameras followed the team all season. The pressure was immense, but so was the focus. The Bulls made it back to the finals, again against the Utah Jazz. A rematch. The series was brutal, close, and every possession felt like a heavyweight fight. Then came Game 6, June 14, 1998. Salt Lake City. The Bulls led. The series 3-2. With seconds left, they were down 1. Jordan had already scored 43 points. He brought the ball up. No timeout. Calm, collected. He drove past one defender, made a quick layup. Next possession, strips Karl Malone from behind. Then, the moment. He crossed up Bryon Russell, pulled up, held the follow-through, swish, 7-86. Ball game, no celebration, no chest pound, no screaming, just a quiet fist pump. It was poetry, the perfect ending. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs. 2 three-peats. He had done what no one thought possible. Left the game, come back, and won even more. In that final shot, Jordan didn't just win a game, he captured immortality. He walked away on top again. This time not because of grief or burnout, but because he had nothing left to prove. This chapter closed with Jordan as the undisputed GOAT, a global icon, a cultural force, and the heartbeat of a dynasty. But as history would show, even legends have a hard time staying away. Beyond the court, ownership, philanthropy, and the MJ effect. When Michael Jordan hit that last shot in 1998, we all assumed the book was closed. 6 titles, countless awards, the perfect ending to a perfect run. But for Jordan, the story wasn't over, because greatness doesn't retire. It just evolves. The second comeback, the Wizards era. In 2001, after 3 years away from the game, Jordan shocked the world again by announcing a return. This time, not in the red and black of the Bulls, but in the blue and gold of the Washington Wizards. Why come back at age 38? Jordan had joined the Wizards front office after retiring, but he felt disconnected. The game still called to him. He believed he could teach by doing, not just by managing, and even at that age, he still had it. In his 2 seasons with the Wizards, Jordan averaged over 20 points per game, dropped multiple 40-plus point games, and filled arenas across the country. Fans didn't come expecting championships anymore. They came to witness a living legend, still carving defenders with fadeaways, still commanding the game with his mind and instinct. But it wasn't just about stats. It was about mentorship, transition, and love for the game. Still, Jordan's time in Washington wasn't without pain. The Wizards never made the playoffs. And after his final game in 2003, where he received a standing ovation so long it delayed the next quarter, he stepped away from basketball for good as a player. This time, it really was goodbye. Jordan the owner. A new chapter of influence. In 2010, Jordan broke another barrier, becoming the first former player and first black majority owner of an NBA team, the Charlotte Bobcats, now the Charlotte Hornets. It was more than a business move. It was legacy work. As owner, Jordan was no longer just an athlete or endorser. He was a gatekeeper, a decision-maker, a model for future generations. And while the Hornets haven't replicated his on-court dominance yet, his presence as an owner has changed the narrative of what's possible for athletes after the final whistle. He turned the player-to-owner pipeline from dream to blueprint. The business empire of MJW, while the Air Jordan line had always been successful, the 2000s and 2010s turned it into a fashion phenomenon. Collaborations with artists like Travis Scott, designers like Virgil Abloh, and exclusive retro drops kept the brand fresh, relevant, and coveted. Today, Jordan Brand generates over $5 billion annually, and MJ earns an estimated 150 million pluses per year from it alone. In 2023, Forbes reported Michael Jordan had officially become a billionaire many times over, thanks to investments, endorsements, and ownership. From sneakers to video games, from cologne to collectibles, Michael Jordan became a brand as immortal as his jump shot. Philanthropy and purpose beyond business, MJ has quietly made major philanthropic moves. For years, critics questioned his public stance on political or social issues. But in the 2020s, Jordan began making bold statements and even bolder contributions. He donated $100 million over 10 years to organizations focused on racial equality, education access, and social justice. His Jordan brand launched initiatives aimed at uplifting Black communities and supporting youth programs. He supported hospitals, charities, and relief efforts both publicly and privately. As he once said, "I can no longer stay silent. We must use our influence to change the system." The man who once avoided the political spotlight now embraced his platform to inspire change, not just awe. The MJ effect. Yesterday, today, forever ask any athlete, anywhere on earth, who their hero is. Chances are, they'll say the same name, Jordan. From Kobe Bryant, who studied MJ's footwork and mindset religiously, to LeBron James, who entered the league under constant comparison to Jordan's throne, Michael's shadow looms large. He changed how athletes think, dress, train, market, and even own. He wasn't just a baller, he was an era, a mindset, a standard. To be like Mike wasn't just a slogan, it was a mission. Even today, kids who never saw Jordan play still wear the number 23. They still lace up the Concords, the Breads, the Space Jams. He's a permanent fixture in pop culture, video games, music, and sports, etched in. Your book dose follow for more, and comment the book or personality you are inspired off and want to know more about. I will help you to get to know them from a different perspective. See you next time. Don't forget to click the bell icon to get notification.